we're going to start this morning with reading, so I want you to get yourselves ready for learning. Get your book boxes, get your thoughtful logs, anything you need to annotate, and push your chairs in and come down to the floor so we can start with a mini lesson. We're going to go back and look at our reading and our thoughtful logs, and we're going to talk about character traits. And I want you to find in your thoughtful log where you've noted something about character traits, and I want you to read and reflect. Take a moment to read and reflect what you know about character traits that we've already talked about. And share with me, do you have an aha? Do you have a, oh, I remember this, or wait, I'm confused about this? Let's start by sharing our questions and our ahas. So look at it for a second. Adam?
Well, when I was reading back to when I wanted to do traits from George Washington's socks, I had a bunch from like he was humble because he saved pigs without bragging about it.
Okay, so you remember looking back at that fiction piece and finding out what kind of traits he had. Did anyone else have an aha from there?
I remember when we read Snowflake Bentley,
Yeah.
we had to find his character traits out of what we read.
Okay, so you remember that activity. Is anyone still confused about character traits? What's your question?
I'm confused on the character traits because I really don't understand how to find them.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to practice today. You gave me the perfect question. We're going to practice how to find character traits more today, because practice makes perfect. So the more we practice, the better we get at it, okay? So I thought, well, we've read George Washington's socks, right? And we annotated fiction. And we're going to look at another fiction text, but there's another kind of text that we can use to help us figure out character traits. And it's not fiction. What do you think it is? Think about all of the schema you have from reading. Think about all the schema of all the activities we've done. What else do you think we can use? Katie?
You can use nonfiction because nonfiction often has real people, so it would probably help you more.
Okay. Who can elaborate on what she started to say? Nonfiction has real people, but it has more than that. Who can elaborate on that for me? Can you elaborate?
Facts about it.
Perfect. It has facts. How do we know a fact from an opinion? Really quick, how do we review a difference between a fact and an opinion? Sydney?
Well, a fact, everybody knows it, but an opinion, people can think differently.
Correct. Okay, that's a short way of thinking about it. An opinion is something you think. You can't necessarily prove. So we're going to look at different kinds of text. I'm going to show you some primary source documents. What are primary source documents? Back there for me.
They're actually from the real thing.
So are they from the real thing, or are they the real thing, or are they copy? Elaborate more. You're on the right track.
I think they are the real thing.
Yeah, usually they are the real thing. What are some examples of primary sources?
Some primary sources might be if you go back and you look at some, like maybe a newspaper back then.
Okay, so from that time period, an actual newspaper. Anything else?
A picture,
What kind of picture?
like a picture of someone like standing there or in like war or.
What do we call that? When we're looking at a picture of somebody or an event, it could be what could it be called?
Secondary source?
Well, no, it's a primary source because it's the actual thing from there, right? If somebody painted it then. If we took a picture out of our camera of it, it wouldn't become primary source anymore because it's not the actual thing, although it still is primary source because you're looking at the actual thing. But what do we call a painting of a person? What do we call a painting of a person?
A lithograph?
No. Think about it.
A portrait?
A portrait. We're going to look at a portrait. So we're going to study George Washington. We've been doing the American Revolution, and we started our lesson by looking at George Washington and who he was with fiction. We read the book George Washington's Socks, and we looked at the fiction text. And today I'm going to show you another fiction text, but now we're going to look at some nonfiction primary sources, and we're going to wrap up. And your big question, are you ready? You can note this down if you need to. Your essential question for today is to decide, Was George Washington a worthy leader, or was he not a worthy leader? Okay, and you have a paper in there already glued that has that question on there. Your summative is on there. Was he a worthy leader, or was he not? Do we all have to agree?
No.
We do not all have to agree. Do you have to back up what you feel